Invisible by J. Argent. Chapter 1.
I'm not gay. I speak these words a little too loudly, and in the small space of the car it sounds as though I shouted them. Okay, Ryan says in the driver's seat, staring straight ahead of him at the road. I can tell his body had tensed up. Sorry. We're crossing the river, and the length of the bridge stretches out in front of us as the sun sets, casting a golden glow on the surface of the water. The bridge feels impossibly long, like we'll never reach the other side where the bright lights and tall buildings of downtown stand like sentinels, waiting. We don't say anything else to each other on the rest of the ride home. 20 minutes of awkward silence. When we finally pull into my driveway and Ryan stops the car, I say a quick, "Thanks, see you later," and get out as quickly as I can. I don't look back as I climb the stairs to my front door and hear Ryan pull out of the driveway and cruise down the street and around the bend. "How was the movie, honey?" Cindy, my stepmother, asks as I step through the front door. She sits on the couch in front of the TV, already in her pajamas, watching sitcoms. "Fine," I answer. "Not so scary." I head down the hall to my room, past my sister's closed door, behind which I can hear her high-pitched giggling, so I know she's talking on the phone to one of her 17 identical-looking, skinny, blonde friends on the cheerleading squad. I get to my room and sit down heavily at my desk in front of the computer. I switch on the monitor, and my chemistry lab report instantly comes up on the screen, just where I left it, not even halfway done. The cursor blinks at me menacingly. I grab my notebook from my backpack resting at the foot of my bed and open to my notes from yesterday's experiment. There's no way I can get this done tonight, I think. It's already 8 o'clock. I don't have a choice, really. Either finish the report or watch my already terrible grade sink down even lower. The car ride flashes across my mind again, an image of the bridge, the river, the lights on the other side. My words echoing as though they were in a cave. How did this happen, I ask myself, and what do I do now? Let's back up a few days ago. Ryan and I are in ceramics class together, the one class I have an A in. Mr. Jakowski calls me a natural, a born artist. He keeps giving me flyers and pamphlets for different art schools across the country and tells me he's happy to help me with my applications next year. I feel kind of bad that I can't match his enthusiasm. All I'm trying to do right now is survive my junior year with my GPA intact. Relatively. I keep hearing the words of all my other teachers ringing in my head. "You need direction, Joshua." They always call me Joshua, not Josh, when they get serious. "Aren't you thinking about college applications next year? This C isn't going to turn into an A by itself. You have to try and care more about your work. I know you can do better than this." I hate that last one, a lot. But somehow I've soared through all of my art classes. At the end of freshman year, Mrs. Kerr, my drawing teacher, gave me a flowery card in which she wrote, "I hope you'll continue with your creative endeavors." She had hung my best drawing, a self-portrait in charcoal, prominently on the bulletin board. So I had to weirdly see myself looking down at myself every day for the rest of the semester. In photography class sophomore year, my black and white photo of a deer that had wandered into our backyard won first place in the art show our school puts on every year. I got a gift certificate to an art supply store, which I still haven't used. The best way to describe Mr. Jakowski is eccentric. He wears suits to school that he must have owned since the 70s, and wears glasses as thick as Coke bottle bottoms. His hair is an unruly mass that resembles a huge gray bird's nest. He makes comments on my pieces that I barely understand. Handling one of the vases I made, he exclaimed, "Very Zing Dynasty." He called a pair of candle holders a neo-expressionist tour de force, and a pot that had developed a wide crack down the side while it was being fired, "straight out of De Chirico." Whatever the hell that means. I helped Mr. Jakowski run the kiln after school a few days a week, firing pieces made by other students in his classes. Before they go into the loud, blazing furnace, Jakowski glances over them and usually makes some disparaging comments with a frown on his face. He'll say something like, "Slapdash," or "How elementary," before wandering befuddled back into his dusty, cluttered office brimming with art books and haphazardly arranged sculptures balanced precariously on stacks of files. Every now and again in class, we'll hear something topple over in there and crash, followed by Jakowski shouting, "Damn it to hell!" Ceramics is the only class Ryan and I share, since he takes mostly upper-level academic classes, while I'm stuck in the mainstream. The thing is, it's not that I'm dumb. Okay, I am objectively bad at math, but it's that I, as one of my English teachers so eloquently put it, lack initiative. I do know, really, I do, that I could do better in my classes if I wanted to, if I really tried. But there's something, I don't know what it is, that stops me, drags me down. I'd never even spoken to Ryan until he came into the ceramics studio one day after school when I was working the kiln. I was waiting for the pieces to finish firing, sitting at a table still dirty with clay dust reading The Great Gatsby. Or trying to, at least. "Hey," I heard, and jumped a little in my seat. Ryan was standing right in front of me across the table. "Sorry," he said. "Didn't mean to scare you." "It's okay," I said, trying to play it cool. "What's up?" Underneath the wet, earthy smell of clay that pervaded the studio, I could smell the tang of chlorine. Ryan was on the swim team, and he must have just come from practice. His blonde hair, which fell in curls around his ears and grazed the nape of his neck, was still damp, a dark honey color. "Jakowski said I could pick up my pot," he said. "It was still cooling yesterday." "Oh, sure," I replied. "It's probably over there." I pointed to the tall set of metal shelves where the fired pieces are set to cool overnight. "Cool," he said, and walked over. I looked back down at the pages in front of me, but watched him out of the corner of my eye as he searched the shelves for his pot. Ryan was tall, taller than me, with a broad chest and long, muscular legs. I surreptitiously scanned him over in his white t-shirt, gym shorts, and flip-flops. He spotted his pot on the topmost shelf and reached up to get it, not needing the footstool. The bottom of his shirt lifted up as he reached, almost to his belly button. I could see a faint trail of pale hair leading down to the waistband of his shorts. He took the pot down, and I immediately glued my eyes back on the book, not really reading, and only pretending to look studious. "Ugh, it's lopsided," he said as he walked back towards me. It was a coil pot, made by coiling a long rope of clay around itself in the shape of a bowl. Ryan's was, well, more than a little lopsided. "Well, I'm sure Picasso would like it," I said. He looked at me, the expression on his face not one of amusement. "Sorry," I said. Then his face lit up. "Oh, I get it," he said. "Very funny." "Can I see it?" I asked. He handed the pot over to me. "Next time, make sure the rope is an even thickness. See how it's thicker here? That's why it fell in on itself." "Great," Ryan said sarcastically. "I'll keep that in mind for when I never have to take a ceramics class again." I handed the pot back to him. "What's yours look like?" he asked. I pointed to where my pot was on the shelf. He went over to look at it. "Holy shit," he said. "That's amazing. How'd you get those little designs in there?" I felt myself blush. "I carved them in with a needle." "Show off," he said jokingly. I laughed along with him. "Well, thanks," he said. "Gotta go." It's Josh, right?" "Yeah," I answered. "Hi, Josh. Ryan," he said, and came over to shake my hand, which, I must say, I found really weird. I mean, we'd gone to the same school for 3 years and had a class together for the last 4 months. And he wanted to shake my hand like he'd just seen me for the first time ever? I took his hand and shook it. His palms were dry, probably from the chlorine, I guessed. I didn't look at him while I shook his hand. "Are you a junior?" he asked as he took his hand away. "Yeah, we haven't had any classes together, though," I thought to myself, because I'm in the classes for idiots. "Cool. Well, see ya," he said and turned to leave. I put my head back down to the book as he walked away, but just as he was about to go through the door, I looked back up. And as he was pushing the door open, he looked back at me at the same time I looked up. Our eyes locked and he flashed a smile before slipping through the door. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. An overwhelming feeling of disappointment washed over me. But disappointment in what? I didn't understand. Was it disappointment in not being able to impress Ryan? To show him that I was somebody no matter what classes I was in? Then I remembered how I had been watching him from the corner of my eye, how I had become aware of the shape of him, of seeing his bare skin when his shirt lifted up, of the electric thrill that I tried to ignore as it ran through me when we shook hands. I wasn't going to pretend that what I felt was anything other than it was. It was attraction, physical attraction. Ryan was beautiful. It was like a red-hot poker had been plunged into a pool of ice-cold water inside me. Two extremes meeting, boiling, steaming, hissing. On the one hand, I knew what I felt was real and true, that Ryan was attractive in my eyes. On the other hand, I knew that there was no way to pursue what I felt. That just like all the other times I had felt some weight inside me tugging me toward another guy, there was nothing that it could result in. Nothing to do about it that wouldn't make me, gay. I pushed the thoughts out of my mind. The kiln had switched off automatically a while ago, and I put on an apron and huge oven mitts to pull the trays out and set them on the shelves to cool. Once they were all out and the kiln was shut, I swung my bag on my shoulder and prepared to head home. But before I left the room, I stood still, closed my eyes, and listened. The beautiful, sparkling sound of glaze cooling and cracking, tiny sharp pops like sparks in space, miniature starbursts that I could almost see behind my eyelids. Then, my eyes still closed, an image surfaced in my mind, unbidden. Ryan, his strong, lean arm extended upward, reaching for his pot, the smell of the pool still on him. What it might feel like to lay a hand on his waist, there, just as he stretched upwards. My eyelids snapped open. I could feel something hot and wanting stirring and growing inside me. Quickly, I flicked off the lights, shut the door, and walked down the empty hallway to leave. But no amount of hurrying could cool the heat, and soon the quick pace of my feet was the result not of my wanting to leave school, but to get home, close the door, and satisfy my body's hunger. The scent of chlorine lingered on my right hand, the one that shook Ryan's.
Thanks for listening to the first chapter of Invisible by J. Argent. If you want to hear the rest of the story, just click the link in the description below to download the remaining chapters for free.